no longer have anybody who needs the recording, but I will record it anyway. We're going to start, if you can, start in hero's pose, where you sit back between your feet. Let's try to start in hero's pose. So whatever props, however much height that requires for you, have all the height you need, a couple of blocks. Even if you need more space between your knees, have more space between your knees. See if we can start in hero's pose. And I'd like to spend the first several minutes just sitting. So breath, attention to breath. And we'll still do, we'll do a little seating. We'll do a little sitting again at the end. We're going to start with a little bit of sitting. And so if you have blankets that you like to have supporting where your bones hit the floor, sometimes that can make all the difference. You can also roll up blankets. If your ankles are tight, you can always roll up a little bit of your blanket to have like between the tight ankle and the floor. If there's a gap like that, you can support or prop up the tops of the ankles where the ankles meet the floor. I have folks who are sitting up on 2 blocks or maybe 2 blocks turned onto their not as stacked tall sides, but next to each other. Or you can have just one block, or just a blanket even between your 2 heels under your tailbone. Start in Virasana, as much support as you need. Just take the temperature of your knees. If your knees decide they like to have a little bit of space, if that eases any of the strain you might feel around your knees, prop up or take a little bit of space between your knees. Okay, so we'll take the first few minutes here and just as well as you can, attention to the sensations of breathing. Just see how close you can stay. From the moment you feel inhalation begin to the moment you sense the end of exhalation. If it helps, you might try really extending and drawing out that exhalation with constricted throat or ujjayi, and maybe even silently chanting an om on the exhale, right? I think can help just expand the sense of the time of your breath, the time and space of your breath, and keep your attention really anchored in sensation. You could add a loud om or an om silently chanted as you constrict the breath and exhale. But I like paying particular attention to the pause, the end of the exhalation before you take breath in again. The feeling, the sensation, the quality of that pause. Take another 2 or 3 breaths here, beginning in Virasana. And one last breath here to begin. Okay, so let's go ahead and just come up off of your supports. If you were up on cushion, block, blanket, what have you. And then from there, bring yourself onto your back. Mr. Kitty Pots. Sorry, dude. Down onto your back. So bring your feet to stand on the floor behind your hips. And then just pick up the balls of your feet and your toes. So put a little bit of flexion now in the fronts of your ankles. You can do both feet together. You can do one foot at a time. Pick up the balls of your feet. Good. And then lift your heels. Stand in the balls of your feet now and lift your heels. Lower your heels, pick up your right leg, and turn your foot around your ankle a few times. In both directions, several times in each direction. Good. And then extend the leg, give the toes a good point. Clench, spread, wiggle, stretch your toes. Clench, both clench and stretch. Put as much movement, as much sensation, as much space, as much mobility through the joints and the bones of your toes, feet, and ankles as you can find. And just take one more breath. We just start to feel a little fatigue in the ankle and the leg. Set your right foot on the floor and pick up your left foot. Turn your left foot around your ankle. Several times in one direction, several times in the other direction. Point, point and flex, point and flex, point and flex, stretch, clench, spread wide, clench, spread wide, clench, spread wide, wiggle, stretch and hold. Good. And set your left foot back down on the floor. And then step your feet out wide to the edges of your mat, away from the backs of your hips some, and then drop both knees to the right. Press the left foot, bring the front of your left hip up and forward. Release that, come back onto your back, drop both knees to the left, push the right foot, bring the front of your right hip up and forward. Just twice more to each side, just once or twice more. Good. Feet come back in close to your hips. See if you have room over your head for both arms to go. And then begin with your arms down by your sides. Take a breath in here where you're on your back, and then as you breathe out, push feet, lift your hips, take your arms up and over your head to the floor behind you. Leave your arms over your head, inhale, spine to the floor, hips to the floor. Exhale, bridge pose. Inhale, everything comes back down to the floor. Do 2 more just like that. Good. So that last inhale, spine comes back down, arms are back down. Let your arms go wide to the sides and then press both feet. Take exhale or inhale to bring your hips up off the floor and just hold bridge pose where you can comfortably hold the effort. Continue to breathe. 3 more breaths. Inhale, spine to the floor, hips to the floor, knees to your chest. Good. And then your right knee stays pulled into your hand. Your left leg goes back out long to the floor, and you pull your right knee off wider to the right, and then up and across, taking your spine and your hips into rotation. Do 2 more with your right leg. Just a few short repeats here. Mobilize, get everything a little mobilized. Organized, mobilized. Good. Extend right leg, bring left knee into left hand. Push out or point out through the right toes or push out through the right heel, and then pull left knee to the left. And then bring it up and take it across. Twice more. Once more. Good. And then return, extend both legs. Pause just for a breath. Just take 1 breath here. Good. And then bring both feet back up to stand on the floor. Take a breath in here where you feel just a nice kind of filling up and expansion of the abdomen, the rib cage, the diaphragm, some movement of the diaphragm muscle. And then exhale, flatten the lumbar spine. Draw the navel in, draw your side waist in towards center. Hold through the full exhalation, and then wait for the inhale. Let the inhale move your pelvis, let the inhale move your spine. And then exhale, tilt the pelvis back in toward you. Your navel drawing down like a thumbtack toward the floor. And then inhale, open it back up. Exhale, compress, lengthen lumbar and compress. Three more breaths like that. Good. Inhale, and then just relax, exhale, and then come over, oh, hi. Come over onto your side. Take your time coming up off the floor. And go ahead and move yourself up, just come slowly. If you have a tendency to ever get like dizzy when you get up too quick from lying down on your back, just take your time. Okay, and then come onto all fours. And you can take your inhale here, or just as much arch in your spine, extension through the front of your belly as you like, and then just kind of press back. You can arch up if you like. That arching in the spine is nice down the lower back, or just drop forearms to floor, hips to your heels. Inhale, all fours. Exhale, child's pose. Once more. And then from all fours, you'll pick up your left arm, and you can make this rotation of your left arm, right, as strong as you want, or just kind of more loose and smaller circle, a little bit less effort, a little bit less kind of strain or work for that upper left shoulder, the back of the left shoulder. You decide how far, how much do you want to press to your edge. Then switch directions, reach back. Again, that can just be a very loose circle at the shoulder or a strong extension of the arm. You're reaching as far back and as far up and back as you can. And then switch, right arm. Find strong rotation or find just a kind of a looser circle. And then switch directions 5 times. Both palms to the floor. And then let's come a little bit forward with your hands if there's space, or go a little bit back with your knees, just so you're in a little bit more of a plank pose, but still knees on the floor, but knees back behind your hips. And then try to pull your chest in towards your back, so you get a little bit round between your shoulder blades. And then do the reverse. So let your chest drop down between your arms, between your shoulders a little bit, and then push back up. So you're using a lot of strength of your arms to keep pushing the floor, but you're just letting your rib cage, your chest, your sternum, your rib cage just kind of bounce up and down between your shoulders, between your arms. So you're just pushing the floor to lift up, try to round into the back. You're holding some support in the abdomen as well. It's like little mini push-ups. You're not bending your elbows, you're not trying to drop to the floor, you're just kind of moving the structures of your upper torso in between your arms. Do one more. Good, and then you could push back to child's pose, or you could just sit back on your feet, right? Always that's your option when you want to just come out of your shoulders and your hands and your arms. Take a breath or two. Okay, and then let's just bring more extension, more sense of stretch into the shoulders and the arms in downward facing dog. And so come up and take 5 breaths, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. So start by just staying a little bit kind of relaxed in your feet, ankles, knees, legs, and really, really strongly push the floor with your hands. Exhale here, take one more full breath in and out. Good. Shift forward to a high push-up position. Take a breath in. You're going to lower all the way down to the floor. If you want to drop your knees, drop your knees. Controlled. Support in the shoulders, stability in the shoulders. Then point your toes back. Hug your elbows into your sides. Pull the palms down, pull your chest up. Good. And then just push straight down through your palms. Keep your elbows in tight and keep your knees on the floor if you want, or try to do a full push-up with your toes curled under. Push your whole self up, right? Like a plank. So you don't bend at the hips, you don't bend at the shoulders. Try knees or no knees, and then downward facing dog. And exhale, good. Shift forward into high push-up position again. Okay, and then again, knees or no knees. Lower down, slow. Let your shoulders support you. Feel how strong the shoulders are. Again, a little cobra pose, a little locust pose, a low upward facing dog, just chest forward. Push the floor again to come up. Knees or no knees, but all arms. Let it just be all arms that pushes you off the ground, and then downward facing dog again. 2 breaths. Stretch, stretch, stretch the arms. Push the palms. Push, push, push through the palms. Let this be about stretching and extending the shoulder, the muscles of the arms and shoulders. Then look forward and walk your feet until you're there up underneath your hips and you're in Uttanasana. Bring your hands together on your back. Interlace your fingers. If you want to stay apart with the palms, you can. If you can keep your palms pressed together and extend your arms, try that. Fully extend the elbows, the upper arms, lift the arms away from your back. Feel that shoulder extension, drop the weight of your arms up and back. Good. One more breath. Let your hands come back to your back and then let go of the clasp. With an inhale, roll your spine up to stand. Exhale, when you get to the top, maybe just reach gently back, reach softly back. Okay, from the front of your mat. Let's step back. The right foot, step it back, step it forward, step it back, step it forward, step it back, step it forward. You can step to warrior one. Push off the foot to bring it forward. Try to keep some control, some precision, some balance, or you can lift the knee. You can step all the way back onto the ball of your foot like lunge pose. Push off that foot to bring it forward. The knee lifts, then you bring your foot to the floor. Do 4 more, right? Either one of those or any kind of variation or modification of those. Balance, push. See if you can find, there's a nice kind of optimal window of movement and control of movement and efficiency, economy of movement. So notice when you have a tendency to lose your balance, whether you're falling left or right, or if you're falling forward or backward. Switch, do 5 or 6 breaths, each foot stepping back. When you're done, you're back in mountain pose. Take a breath here. Okay, and then we'll step back into a lunge pose with the right foot back. You can hold lunge pose if you're more stable, if you feel more secure and stable, hold. And if you feel okay with balance and stability here, but moving, dropping the back knee toward the floor, coming up and extending and moving through your ankle joints and your knee joints. You can make it a little more dynamic. You could do both for 2 more breaths. Step the right foot forward, pause and take a breath. The foot steps back. Lunge pose, crescent lunge pose, Anjaneyasana. Feel free to hold here. If this is enough, just working the balance by holding the pose, stay here. Move if you feel like you want to move. Doesn't have to be a huge range of motion, it can be very small. 2 more breaths. Good, push off the left foot, step forward, and take a breath again. Okay, and then step to the middle of your mat and turn to the side and step your feet apart wide. Let's start with the toes turned slightly outward. And then just drop. Okay, and then you only have to sit as low as an upright spine will allow you to sit. The pelvis tilts back a tiny bit, but for the most part, you are almost vertical. You stay pretty vertical up and down in the spine. Drop the hips, sit into your legs. Just a little more Pilates than yoga. You won't tell. Good. Do one more. Let's push through the heels. Push through the heels, stand all the way back up. And then let's turn out the right heel, turn out fully 90 degrees your left foot. Come to warrior two. Couple more breaths here. Let's work through all of the little tiny subtle movements and adjustments and readjustments and reposes that you do in the course of holding warrior two. Take a breath in. Exhale, reverse. At the same time, extend your front knee. Go long and straight through your left knee. And then come back to wide arms. And cartwheel a little bit into triangle pose. Good. Push through front foot, reach through top arm. Come all the way back up. Turn in the toes and then find that place where you're in your heels, but your toes are turned out again. And then just go back into another little 5 squat. Goddess pose squat or little Pilates squat. One more. And then move your feet into warrior two position with your right foot turned out and your left toes turned to slightly inward. Can your legs hold you? How hard are your legs working? Good. Reverse and extend your front knee at the same time. Good. Inhale, reach, exhale, triangle pose. One more breath. Good. Push through front foot, reach through top arm. Come all the way back up. Turn in your right toes. Heel, toe, heel, toe, heel, toe. Your feet back together. Now, okay, so top of your mat. Take a breath in and reach your arms over your head. Big reach up, big stretch up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half forward fold. Stay through the exhale. Push strongly into the fronts of your shins. Take a breath in. Palms to the floor, high push-up position. Inhale the plank pose. Exhale, come down. Toes back. Inhale, pull heart forward. Inhale, exhale here. Squeeze elbows tight to sides. Then push. Do the full push-up if you want. Keep your knees on the floor if you want. Press yourself up and back to downward facing dog. Two more breaths, downward facing dog. Walk back to the top. Get your heels back up underneath your hips, half forward fold, stay through the exhale. Big breath in. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, come up. Arms overhead, stretch up again. Exhale, palms to your heart. Good. Okay, and then a short step back, right foot. Left hand to your hip, right arm reaches up on the inhale. Exhale, fold and reach across. Right hand reaches for left foot or for the outside of your left ankle. Inhale, push through your feet, come all the way back up. Inhaling up, extended right arm, exhale, fold. A little twist, a reach across, opposite hand to foot. Come up once more, take both arms overhead, inhaling, exhale, fold. If you like to, if we're going to be in the fold for 4 or 5 breaths. So if you like to have blocks, if you have a couple of blocks, you could block up underneath your hands. Give yourself some space, some support, some room, or you could make a little more bend in your front knee. If that just helps you just get a little longer in your spine, in your low back, frees up some space through your hips and your lower back. Another couple of breaths here. Good. And then let both hands come up, bend both knees, push the feet a little bit, right? Kind of hold the floor through your feet and your legs and bring your spine back up, right? And then bring right foot forward. Pause here. Take a moment to feel what there is to feel. Slow down, go inside. Sense, then step back, left foot. Pyramid pose, so dynamic pyramid pose, opposite arm to leg, cross lateral on the exhale. Exhale, left hand, right foot. Inhale. Feel how much your legs and your hips are doing to safely lift you and let you fold forward with a little twist. One more, up and down, or down and up. Both arms reach up. Inhale, exhale, fold. 4 more breaths here. Good. And then again, soften through both knees. Fix both feet to the floor. Let your hands go. Push through your feet and your legs to come all the way back up. Bring your left foot forward. Pause and take a breath again in mountain pose. Good. And then take a breath in, reach your arms over your head. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half forward fold. Hold through the exhale again. Strong press to the shins. Take another breath in. High push-up position. Good. Go for a push-up. Go for Chaturanga Dandasana, right? So lower yourself down, knees or no knees. Everything comes to the floor, toes back, elbows in tight. Pause here for breath with your chest lifted. Good. And then go for the push-up. Again, knees or no knees, right? Knees on the floor. Very valid. Even so, knees on the floor just lets you get real isolated and real attentive to what your shoulders can do to push you up off the floor. Push and then fold back, curl your toes under, downward facing dog. Two more breaths. Shift forward. Drop your knees to the floor, drop your knees wide, bring your big toes together, hips to your heels, child's pose. Or you could just sit in hero's pose again and take 2 or 3 breaths. My hand didn't come off, I unplugged it. Okay. Let's come down onto your belly from there, from your seat, from child's pose. Move yourself all the way down. Bring the palms next to the chest, like we end up when we lower down from chaturanga, but toes pointed back. Push the tops of your feet into the floor. Hug your elbows in. Slide your palms down. Pull your chest forward. Hold yourself in a little bit of a back bend. So feel from your hamstrings to the backs of your glutes to your spinal muscles, muscles that butt up right close to the length of your spine, all the way up. One more breath. One cheek to the floor, arms down alongside you. Good. And then bring arms forward, arms overhead. We're going to take all 4 limbs off the floor and take 5 breaths. With an inhalation, let the feet lift, let the knees lift. Hands, forearms, elbows, upper arms, reach. Maybe just get more long than lifted. One more breath. One cheek to the floor. Rest your arms. Take a breath here. Good. And then if you can roll yourself just onto your side from there. And let your knees bend. Your knees are kind of forward out, away, kind of out from your hips, forward from your hips out toward the long edge of your mat. And leave your head just resting on your upper arm, or just prop your head up into your hand. Just bend the elbow and let your head rest in your hand. And then your top leg, you're just going to take your top leg and lift it and hover it. So let it be. It's going to be maybe a little bit different for everybody, but what you want to look for first is like this outer plane of your leg that's lifted. In the horizontal plane, like you could lay a pane of glass over it like a coffee table. So outer hip in line with outer knee, in line with outer ankle. And it's just floating. Now from there, right, you can start to take maybe just the knee a little higher. So you start to really kind of isolate and feel into along this upper outer hip, maybe back into the glute medius a little bit. You could come back to where everything is all level again, and then drop your knee a little bit, but lift your ankle. And then go back to where everything is just nice and all in the same plane again. Drop the lifted foot a little more toward the bottom foot, open the knee. Like when you do clamshells, hold. Go back to everything evenly in the horizontal plane. Two more breaths. Good. And then lower that leg, move yourself onto your back. Okay. And before we go to the other side, bring right ankle to left knee, and then bring left knee into your chest. Or if that was your left leg that was lifted and hovering, put left leg into pigeon pose on your back. Good. Another breath maybe on this side, and flip over. Okay. And then just set yourself up. Same thing. Second side, opposite side, right? So we just start by hovering that top leg. Good. And then just with real close attention, just very slowly take the knee a little bit higher. And just kind of feel what lights up in your outer hip. And then you go back to horizontal plane, the outer hip, knee, ankle. And then let the knee drop a little bit toward the other knee, but lift the foot, lift the ankle. Right, somewhere there's a place, maybe a little bit different for everybody, just depending on the makeup of where your thigh bones, how your thigh bones meet your hip joints, how they sit in your hip joints, the shape of your hip joints. There's kind of an optimal kind of place where you're going to feel more resistance, or you're going to feel more tightening in that outer hip. Hold wherever that is for you for 5 more breaths. Maybe you drop that lifted foot a little closer to the bottom foot, but keep the knee a little more lifted. Maybe you're a little bit more just hovering in that same horizontal plane. And we'll lower that top leg to release the hold. Come back onto your back and take that lifted leg, ankle of that lifted leg, whatever leg that was, to opposite knee, knee to your chest. Pigeon pose, 5 breaths there. Nice, so you can let that go when you're ready to let that go. And then knees stacked or knees crossed, recline twist with your hips and feet, knees, legs to the right. And so allowing your breath to start slowing itself down. Take another couple of breaths on this side. Just feel everything just getting a little looser, a little longer. And then uncross your legs if they're crossed. Bring knees back into your chest. Recross or just drop both knees to the left. Loose stack so that the right shoulder, right arm can just release heavy. One last breath in the twist. And then return to your back. Any final posture or movement, or just simple stretch you feel like you might want before the rest, and we'll rest in Shavasana for 5 minutes. Just take a rest. Minimally propped, so whatever you need. off the limbs that want some support. But then just feel the weight of your limbs. The weight of your arms. Really sense the weight of your left hand, of your left forearm, your left elbow, left shoulder and upper arm. And then same thing with your right arm, all the way up from your hand, the weight of your hand through the wrist, lower arm, elbow, all the way up. You can isolate sensing to just your right arm. And sense the weight and the shape of both arms together. Then you could try the same thing, do the same thing with each of your legs. If you like, if that helps to just keep you present and grounded, a little bit focused for resting, or you could just rest. Just keep a sense of your breath, keep a sense of where you are in space, a sense of yourself anchored to the ground. Let's take another minute in Shavasana. Just keep returning to the eternal cycle of your breath. Take another 2 or 3 breaths here, longer, deeper. Nice. Okay, so you could, if you wanted to stay in Shavasana another 4 or 5 minutes, you could take a longer Shavasana. Once you come up and sit for a few minutes, we can come up and sit again. And if you need to pop off. Good, so your choice, optional seat. I'm going to sit back in Virasana again. You might see how that feels now compared with the beginning of your practice today. Just drop right back in if you want to sit and if you want to lie. Continue watching the continual stream of breath. The last minute of your practice. Let go of any efforts you're making with your breath, any efforts you're making to continually yoke your attention. Just let your attention be wide open. So close here. Do your hands together over your heart, your palms together in front of your heart, thumbs, tips of your thumbs to your sternum. Here. Namaste to you. Namaste. As usual, observe the ongoing effects of your practice in the hours and days ahead. Come back to practice when you can. I'll see you here again next week. Thank you once again for your time. Guys, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Shandy. Have a good one. Take care.
Good night.
Good night.